the good news is that, yeah, it's been tough, but actually people can see the plan starting to work. And you can see that because business confidence is at a 10-year high, consumer confidence 3-year high. We just had farmer confidence come out yesterday. It's about the highest it's been since middle of 2017. So all of that's great, but it's now got to translate into growth, which is the goal for next year, and then obviously better paying jobs, which is good. So
yeah, increased productivity so we can earn more to pay more for,
that's right.
for the infrastructure and the things that we need. But about that, shall we start with the negatives and then go on to the... Because I have to say, the ferry thing was a damp squib.
Yeah, well, I'll just say on that.
What happened? Did you have a plan and then Winston stuck his oar in?
No, not at all. What we've got to is that there was a ministerial advisory group which says, right, what is the right size ferry that you actually need to have on the, on the Cook Strait? And what we've got is what we call 2 rail compatible ferries, which is meaning that a bit like we've got 4 out of 5 of them today that run like that. They're the right size. They can be delivered significantly below the budget that was being previously described, up to $3.2 billion or almost $4 billion.
More,
well, we got the latest advice. They'd got advice that was closer to $4 billion. And it started off as a $700 million project, right? And the problem is that people will say to me, and the Labour guys will say, oh, just spend that money. And the point is, okay.
Even Grant Robertson was balking.
Yeah, well, but they didn't do anything about it because Robertson and Webb and a bunch of people got that advice from Treasury and they didn't do anything about it. And likewise with Dunedin Hospital, frankly, they got 2 or 3 reviews of that project that said it was red, it wasn't on track. And the problem is that every time you say, oh, yeah, let's just go spend $3 or $4 billion on ferries, the problem is that that's a whole bunch of schools and hospitals and roads that you don't get to build. The same on Dunedin Hospital. Yeah, I could say to you, yeah, I'd love to go say, yeah, spend $3 billion on it, make it the most expensive hospital in the Southern Hemisphere ever built. But the point in that would be I'm not building hospitals or strengthening hospitals in Whangarei or Palmerston North or Tauranga or Nelson in that case. So, when we say financial discipline and as people and your listeners manage within their family budgets and small businesses run within their budgets, government has to do the same. And when you don't, what happens is you drive inflation up and you drive interest rates up, put the economy in recession and you create unemployment. And that's essentially what happened. And we've had to relearn the laws of economics that we learned 35 years ago. And good financial management may not be particularly sexy or interesting, but it's actually critically important because if you don't manage the economy well, the people that hurt the most are low and middle income working New Zealanders. Right. And they're the ones that have to struggle paycheck to paycheck. They're the ones that got to go find $700 a fortnight because the interest rates just went through the roof. They're the ones that can't get food. Yeah, so the good news is...
with respect, interest rates would have come down anyway as part of the global cycle. We're seeing it around the world.
Disagree.
Well, they would have come down eventually.
There's 2 parts to it, right? Yes, you've got fiscal policy, which is what the government does with government spending, and then you've got what's called monetary policy, which is what Adrian Orr and the Reserve Bank do, which is setting interest rates essentially. And we focus the Reserve Bank 100% on fighting inflation. They had what's called a dual mandate under Robertson. We said get focus on your core job, which is get inflation down, because when you get inflation down, that's the lesson of economics. If you don't control inflation, remember the days when you and I grew up in the 70s, we had carless days and all sorts of crazy ideas because inflation was out of control. Well,
and 23% interest rates.
And 23% interest rates, right? Because we had really high levels of inflation. And so the point is, and what essentially happened with the last lot was that they didn't have any economic management there. They then cranked up the government spending by 84%. That drove up our domestic inflation. So yes, there's international parts to inflation, but the domestic inflation is within our control. And so you had, Hipkins and Robertson spending money with their foot on the accelerator, just spraying cash around everywhere. Unfortunately, the money that they spent didn't actually buy us anything in terms of infrastructure or anything that's productivity enhancing. Basically just loaded up the credit card on expenses. And now I have a $9 billion interest bill every single year because the debt went from $5 billion to $100 billion. And they spent more, borrowed more, taxed more, and we didn't get anything for it. And you don't mind borrowing money if you're going to borrow it for good stuff that is 30, 50 years going to help New Zealand do better, right? Like you'd borrow for your house, your mortgage for a house. But you don't borrow for your groceries. It's kind of the
But just on that too, like we've got the Reserve Bank heading off for summer holes, and I'm sure they work very hard, and the Reserve Bank, but people are waiting for the next interest rate, OCR drop.
Yeah, so we've had 3...
and we're expecting it in February. Why can't they, like everybody knows, all the banks are calling it for February, so why can't they just call it now to give everyone a little...
Yeah, so what they do is they look at sort of in the back mirror sort of as to what's been happening, but they've then got to look at where they think the economy is going now based off sort of leading indicators. Yeah, and the problem is...
I don't understand. It's a Christmas rush. There'll be a Christmas splurge.
Yeah, but we just had the third cut. They've got a rhythm. Unfortunately, they've got to look at it every month or every couple of months, and they have what's called a monetary policy committee that sort of comes together and makes that decision. But what's amazing is we had 12 interest rate rises, probably very, very quick, and you had $750. It's probably $700 a fortnight people had to go find after tax. And to think about what that does for, I know, but everyone knows, right? But but think about what choices you got to make about your kids' sports and other trade-offs you had to make. And even with those 3 rate cuts that we've been able to achieve in the first 12 months, because of we've got good fiscal management and they're focused on interest rates, and inflation, we've now got a pincer move where both policies are actually working together. What you had before was Robertson and Hipkins with their foot on the accelerator. You had him, printing a lot of cash. All of that stimulation just led to massive asset price inflation and other things. And what we've had to do is put the brakes on. Now they've got the brakes on. But for a while there, we had the interest rates being put on the brakes, inflation. Then we had Robertson and Hipkins still spending cash, and the car was pretty unstable. And it is basically like, the way I describe it is they took the keys to the car and they drove it at great speed, put it into a dirty, great big ditch, and we're now hauling it out of the ditch, getting it up the right way, and then getting into first and second gear, and then we've got to get it into top gear and get moving. But that's been really difficult, and that, I don't think Nicola Willis and I have sort of had to face up to that, because that's probably one of the most difficult economic challenges I think New Zealand's had in decades. Was it tougher than you thought it was going to be? Well, it certainly is. I mean, and because you're standing on things like a ferries project that you thought was budgeted for $775 million, turns into 3.2, maybe 4. You thought you were standing on a project that was Dunedin Hospital that was going to be in for 1.6 and turned out to be... You knew that it was blowing up before you got elected. Oh, yeah, but you didn't know until you get in there and you actually see the numbers. You go, oh, right, okay, it's a $3 billion project that they've got 1.6 set aside for. The same with school project buildings, all that stuff. So we've had to sort through all that stuff over the last 12 months. Charlie says you promised us an up-to-date operating Dunedin Hospital before the election. You should hold to that promise. We are. We're going to build a grey hospital in Dunedin, but we're going to do it at $2 billion or $1.9 billion, not at $3 billion. And when will it open? We're working that through right now. Reti and Chris Bishop, our infrastructure minister, are going through the options of how they get that project right size so that it actually delivers for the people of the south. So rest assured, we're going to. I'm frustrated as the people of Dunedin are about next year, end of next year. Well, they'll have the review done much quicker than that. I hope early next year, and then we'll get cracking with it. Okay, we're going to take a break, and remember that Christopher Luxon is here for you. He will answer your questions. So if you have one for the Prime Minister, this is your last chance to do it for 2024. 0800 80 10 80 is the number to call. Newstalk ZB, it is 9:16.
People management is easy with MyHR, where all your HR lives on one simple platform. MyHR, the ultimate HR solution for busy SMEs.
Thought all hearing aids were expensive? Not at Audica Hearing Clinic. If you're eligible for the Ministry of Health hearing aid subsidy, you can get a pair of selected Bluetooth-enabled quality hearing aids fitted for just $495. To find out more, visit audica.co.nz or call 0800 00 38 80. Love the sounds of summer with hearing aids for just $495 at Audica Hearing Clinic. Always read the label and follow the instructions.
Harvey Furnishings' huge clearance sale now on. 20% off Raglan striped sheer and Wanaka block-out ready-mades. Up to 70% off cushions and throws. 50% off chair pads and selected ready-mades, including Jasper and Cottage Garden, priced to clear. Heaps more bargains store-wide, but only while stocks last. Buy online at harveyfurnishings.co.nz or visit any of their stores throughout the North Island to see and feel their full range up close. Harvey Furnishings, homes made beautiful.
Powerball's biggest Christmas promo ever is now on. There's 100 extra prizes of $50,000, a guaranteed millionaire, and it all must be won. Get a triple dip to be in to win. Prizes drawn Saturday 28 December. T's and C's apply.
Dress up for the Christmas season at Farmers with 25% off selected women's, men's and kids' clothing. 50% off girls' dresses by Switch, plus $29 gasoline and chisel men's short sleeve polo shirts. Farmers, the home of Christmas. Conditions and exclusions apply.
Search for regencyplumbing.co.nz.
When you need good, reliable help, Regency Plumbing is available now. Big and small, Regency Plumbing does it all. Plumbing repairs and gas installation, spouting and downpipes, hot water cylinder replacements, kitchens, showers, toilets, bathroom renovations and new builds. Remember the company that's always got your back 24/7. Regency Plumbing.
Search for regencyplumbing.co.nz.
your weekend sorted with Canvas, a lifestyle magazine that checks the pulse of the arts and music, culture and performance, reveals the latest in technology, design and fashion, explores film and literature, offers a taste of the finer things in food and beverage. Whether you want thought-provoking, insightful, inspiring or simply absorbing, Canvas has your weekend sorted. In the Weekend Herald.
Your trusted home for news and views.
New ferries are coming, they tell us. Don't worry, this project will be much cheaper than the last one. How can you know that without first knowing the cost of the new ferries?
How do you go a year from cancelling the mega ferries and still have nothing to show for it? And we're going to have to wait 5 years for these bad boys to actually hit the water. Time is of the essence, because it's not as if our existing ferries are doing well. They're running on hopes and prayers and masking tape by the looks of things.
Every view from every angle. Newstalk ZB.
Newstalk ZB. Oh, you're coming in thick and fast, so we'll go straight to the voters and the callers because they are one. Paul, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, hi Kerry, how you going?
Good.
Good. Are you're doing questions?
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
He's right here.
How are you?
Yeah, just ask your question.
Yeah, how you going? Hey,
Good.
Just wondering how you feel about the media in this country, and obviously, I mean, most of us know that there's a pretty clear, obvious bias in the media. And how do you feel about that? And how do you feel that you've been treated any differently compared to the last government? And do you think that puts a negative spin on your policies?
Yeah, look, I appreciate the question, Paul, and it's one that I get asked a lot when I'm moving around the country. But I guess
ordinary people,
just from ordinary people, sort of who say that same thing. I think the reality is, the way I think about it is, look, yeah, I could complain about the media treatment that I do or don't get, and the reality is that then is a distraction from what I'm here to do, which is to get on and fix things and sort things out. But equally, you know, I came to politics 4 years ago because I choose to do the job. I want to do the job. I want to make sure that New Zealand realises its potential. So I'm very locked in on my mission of what I'm here to do and what I'm trying to do with my team. And frankly, if I listened to the pundits and commentators and polls, I wouldn't get out of bed at 4:30 in the morning every morning. You'd just be in the embryo position, I suspect, rocking away quietly in your bed. But look, the reality is, you know, that's a challenge for the media sector in general. You know, what is concerning in New Zealand is that trust in media is down to, I think, 35%. It's dropped 20 points, I think, in a matter of 4 years. And I think what's happened is a lot of news and opinion have got mixed up, and as a result, New Zealanders are actually, when you look at the research, they're one of the countries, probably the number one country in the world. We are curious about news. We are externally oriented. We love news. But actually, New Zealanders now are number one in the world of actually actively avoiding news when you look at the AUT media results and stuff. So it's really around, I've got my views on what I think's, just as an outsider looking at that sector. If I was CEO of media companies, how I'd be thinking about running them, but and the sector in general. But that's up for the media community to work out. Are they actually knowing their customer well? They've got to adjust their business models because, there's a digital world now. And that's why you'll see me do a lot more social media, because I can get my messages directly out to young people or to older folk as well. Most people now get their media news from video online, not from news bulletins at 6 o'clock anymore. Right. So across all age demographics. So what I've tried to do with my media team is actually say, yep, there's the press gallery in Wellington, and they have a very view of the world. They're very Wellington Parliament centric. But often, why I get out so quickly out of Wellington on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays is because I've always been a believer, even in my business background and in politics, is that you've got to get out and actually talk to real people. And when you do, you find out what's going on, and then you go back to that place. And I see too many people get institutionalised in Wellington. Yes. I think the Wellington bubble and the view and the Beltway is the right way to think about things. And that's where all the intelligentsia and all the commentariat and stuff will sit. But the reality is, actually, for people out here, I think New Zealanders have seen through it, and I can see it because our support post-election is stronger today, 12 months, than it was 12 months ago, and that's a good thing. That people are actually, despite the tough decisions we're having to make, are sticking with us. So. Yeah, I could complain about the media. Frankly, they've got a job to do. How they choose to do their job is up to them and their sector, and the consequences of whether they do or don't innovate or adapt or understand their customer well enough is their decision and their problem. My job is to communicate through all of those channels, which have deeply fragmented now across our environment.
Thank you very much for that. And we'll take a short break. Back with your questions in just a moment.
Get your Christmas cravings with savings at Manawa Bay Premium Outlet Centre. From kidswear to footwear and everyday wear, you'll find something to fill everyone's stockings at better prices. With more than 100 brands, alfresco dining and play spaces for the whole family. It's outlet shopping like no other. Enjoy extended Christmas hours starting December 16th. Christmas shopping at Manawa Bay. There's nothing quite like it.
A Merry Christmas starts at Kmart with incredibly low prices on toys. Shop dolls, action figures, tech and more. Like Hot Wheels, just $3 each. Hurry in-store and online now. Kmart, low prices for life.
Get to your vet for Christmas, because you don't want to miss this. A 3-pack of NexGard Spectra comes with a 4th dose. Yes, extra. So it's Christmas for your pets. Only at participating vets. T's and C's apply.
New Zealand's most affordable in-home medical alarm is available nationwide. When you use a Freedom medical alarm, all emergency ambulance charges are covered. Plus, they can supply an additional in-home pendant for someone at the same address at no extra charge. A Freedom medical alarm could be fully funded. Call 0800 380 280 or visit freedomalarms.co.nz.
Are you building, renovating, or have existing showers that need some love? Give Diamond Fusion Glass Defender a call on 0800 66 72 78 for genuine Diamond Fusion Easy Clean, the world's only true lifetime glass protection, so you can keep your glass clean, easily, permanently. If they say it's like Diamond Fusion, it's not Diamond Fusion.
Don't spend an hour cleaning your shower. Do it in a minute with Diamond Fusion.
TradeDepot.co.nz. Trade Depot home appliances are built to last. Certified over 10 years of daily use. Huge side-by-side black steel fridge freezer, $749. 9kg top-loader washing machine, $349. Comfy dishwasher, $299. Shop online or in store at Trade Depot, Nielsen Street, Onehunga. With minimum spends, you can get free home delivery anywhere in Auckland. T's and C's apply.
TradeDepot.co.nz.
The Prime Minister on Kerre Woodham Mornings with Pinnacle Life's multi-award-winning life insurance online advice tool. Call 0800 80 1080. Newstalk ZB.
Now we've sorted that out. Helen wanted a Christmas carol choice for the end of the show, and the Prime Minister said, no, do I have
I'm going to reveal the song of the year. And Helen was trying to say, I've got to have a Christmas song. And I think your listeners have got a lot of Christmas songs and a lot of Michael Bublé. But the point is, I think it's the best song. And if I can't say that as Prime Minister, then what's the point of being Prime Minister?
That's got to be a perk of the job.
There's got to be one perk to the job.
Yeah, to say, no, I'm not going to have a carol. Yeah. I want a song I really love.
I want Chris Stapleton.
Now, Ant's got a very interesting question here. Good morning to you, Ant.
G'day, Ant.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
G'day, Prime Minister. I have a question. Basically, there's a big swathe of Conservative Green votes.
Yeah.
And you saw that with the Australian election, the last election. I feel that, obviously, there's some pretty nutty ideas coming out of the Greens, but I think that where maybe your coalition hasn't yet put together a proposition which is meaningful to the average consumer. I mean, I was at a roadside talk by Seymour, and he mentioned about sequestrian credits and the work that was being done, which I think's great. But I'd like to see something that's tangible to the average family, like some tax relief on some solar panelling, or something they can take away. And I think you can garner a lot more votes with something in the manifesto.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think
it's true.
Yeah, I think Ant's onto something, which is that if you look at, say, Western Europe, have MMP systems as well. If you think about Germany and Angela Merkel, for 20 years she had what was called a blue-green coalition, and that's what Ant.
And you've got a blue-green sector.
We've got a blue-green group, which actually I'm a key founding sort of person involved with, which is that actually people like a good friend of mine, a great mentor of mine was a guy called Rob Fennick, and Rob sort of got the fact that you've got to have sustainability into business practices and commercials, and I believe that as well, because I did a lot of that at Unilever and obviously in New Zealand. But I think there's something there. The only thing I'd say to you is I think the Green Party, that was James Shaw was a good friend of mine, and we're still very close. But I could see a national Greens sort of deal under that sort of environment working, but at the moment the Greens have moved into a much more socialist kind of position beyond the environment into a lot of social stuff where we would have big differences on economics and social policies.
Chloe Swarbrick stated that.
Yeah, and I think that's different from what it was even under, say, when you had players like a James Shaw and others around at that point in time, and that if James reflected that membership, that would be great. But even James was struggling at the end, if you remember, holding his leadership in the party. Yep. So I like the idea of the attraction of a blue-greens or a teal kind of arrangement. But Ant's also raising a good point, which is that we are deeply committed to net carbon 2050 and net zero. We yesterday or this week, hopefully Ant got to see it, but Simon Watts launched our emissions reductions plan budget 2, emissions reductions plan 2, which is the legal requirement to make sure we're hitting our emissions budgets that put us on track for that for the 2050.
But at what cost? Because I know that Alan's going to ask this question, but with the banking alliance, the net zero banking alliance, what is the point of net zero if there is no alternative? If the BNZ believes that our electric motor vehicle fleet is going to be there's 50%.
There's two issues. I think in closing out Ant's view, I think there's a really good point about how do we communicate what we're doing on the environment and the climate change agenda, which is, and he's got some good ideas in there about how we can make people more independent and a bunch of things, and so that's a good challenge, fair enough challenge. But equally, we have to grow our economy and also deliver sustainability and deliver net zero 2050, and we can do both actually. But Simon's plan says we can actually do it in 2044. But shouldn't
it be up to the government, not up to banks?
What I was going to say is I was a bit concerned when I saw that this week as well. You had the BNZ saying they're going to defund service stations. Well,
make farmers pay higher interest rates.
Yeah, and you go to rural New Zealand and you say you're not going to fund a business like a service station in rural New Zealand or even in the rest of the country because you think that by 2030 EVs will be all over and therefore they're a bad investment. It didn't make sense because we've only got 2 to 3% penetration of EVs at this point.
I know.
So that doesn't. So that's not right, and that's why we're really. You would have seen Nicola and I come out on Monday really tough on the banks because we've had this Commerce Commission study to say, look, it's not competitive. They're making super profits. They're not innovative enough, and there's 14 recommendations
and they're interfering.
And we're going to do that. And the second bit is we've got a banking inquiry, which is where we're pulling the CEOs and the chairs through the select committees.
And what's that going to do?
Well, actually, that's where the information came out this week about the defunding of service stations, for example, with the conversation with the BNZ CEO.
Came out earlier.
So that is not right. I mean, in terms of that doesn't feel right.
So how do you fix it?
Well, that's why we want to get through that select committee process, and then we really want to say, right, what are the regulatory things that we can do to make sure that banks are making sure they are, because we've been concerned about rural banking, for example. We bank, farmers have been under some pressure. They've often charged much higher interest rates than people in the cities, and we don't want them debanked as well because of agriculture. Agriculture is on fire.
I know,
it's coming back strongly, and more importantly, all the sustainability innovation, which I've spent in a couple of meetings this week on actually. We've got things like eco-ponds, which are effluent innovations that actually take 7% of the methane emissions out of our dairy farms. That's available now. We've got things like bolus coming, which could be really good, to get rid of methane in cows. We've got methane vaccines. We've got a whole bunch of things that are possible, that we've really...
So the banks shouldn't be charging higher interest rates?
No. So, I mean, that's why we really want to really get under the hood of what are they doing in a policy sense in banking in general? Why is it so not competitive, not innovative enough? That's why we said, look...
why are they the green police?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they should be banking things on a rational basis of saying, not a moral basis.
Exactly.
Yep.
We'll take a break. Newstalk ZB 9:31.
Newstalk ZB Auckland. Time saver traffic.
Still Shop Onehunga supercharges your weekends. Now open 7 days. The Northern Motorway City bound, a moderate patch at Upper Harbour. Looking at the southern, moderate flows through Amanyarewa. Then you're going to hit a little patch there, Ellerslie, through to Green Lane. No delays on the northwestern or the southwestern. Visit Still Shop Onehunga on Sundays for your chance to win one of 3 chainsaws. Time saver traffic and travel.
Hi, this is George Milani from Dream Beds Botany, and for our family to yours, Merry Christmas. We know it's been a tough year for a lot of people with the economic downturn, and we hope things are on the improve and that we'll all manage to get through the holiday season without too many hassles. We're working right through except Christmas Day, so if you do happen to need a last-minute bed, don't hesitate to get in touch. Merry Christmas, and do not buy a new bed without seeing us first. Dream Beds Botany, 500 Te Rakau Drive, Botany Downs, next to Harvey Norman.
Trying to buy a gift for the person who has everything? Instead of just giving things, why not give the gift of time and memories with a Scenic Hotel Group gift card? More than just a present, a Scenic Hotel Group gift card is an invitation to a new experience. With 17 locations across New Zealand and the peaceful island of Niue, whether it's a tranquil retreat, a family getaway, or a meal in one of our stunning restaurants, a Scenic Hotel Group gift card has you covered. For gift cards, visit scenichotelgroup.co.nz and click the gift card button. That's scenichotelgroup.co.nz.
Sometimes the grass is greener, but with Lawnmaster, the grass is just better. Lawnmaster have been providing hardworking products for hardworking Kiwis for over 78 years. Their range of high quality and reliable lawnmowers have Kiwi yards covered. And with hedge trimmers, chainsaws, leaf blowers and more, they've got the gear for any job. Master your garden with Lawnmaster, your 100% New Zealand-owned outdoor power specialist. Go to lawnmaster.co.nz to find your local Lawnmaster dealer, another Steelthorpe brand.
Frontier Touring presents Luke Combs live. 2 shows at Eden Park, Auckland this summer. Friday the 17th and Saturday the 18th of January. Tickets from $99 from Ticketmaster now.
Stuff every stocking this Christmas at Warehouse Stationery with arts and crafts, top tech like laptops and tablets, or capture special memories with a personalised gift. From photo books and puzzles to mugs, steins and calendars. Head to Warehouse Stationery now for cracking Christmas deals.
Newstalk ZB headlines.
With Blue Bubble taxis, it's no trouble with a Blue Bubble. The government's starting over again on work to overhaul the Holidays Act. It's asked officials to begin work on an hours-based accrual model as the core system for annual leave. And high hopes from the government's planned major review of ACC. Lawyer and researcher Warren Forster says it needs to take a long-term view to address long-running issues. Police are warning there'll be no tolerance for law-breaking at today's funeral for a prominent mongrel mob member in Hawke's Bay. That will include any breaches of the gang patch ban. Time magazine has named Donald Trump its Person of the Year. He's been recognised for marshalling a comeback of historic proportions and altering America's place in the world. Aucklanders are already making the most of the newly reopened footbridge between the Viaduct Harbour and Wynyard Quarter. It's operating again after being closed since March for repairs. Auckland Control Tower blind spots. Airport and airlines trade blows over who's to blame. Find out more at NZ Herald Premium. Back to Kerre Woodham.
Thank you so much, Malcolm. It is 25 minutes to 10. We'll go straight back into the questions because you've got lots of them and they're jolly good ones, if I may say. Benjamin, tough one for the Prime Minister. Good morning to you.
Hi, Benjamin.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Hey, my question to you is, why would you cut a service that provides huge support for vulnerable families and children? I'm talking about Stand 2 My for Children.
Yeah, look, I think that's something that has not been well communicated or well handled, to be honest. What Oranga Tamariki's trying to do there is go through the 550 providers that it works with. It spends about $500 million, $500 million on it. And the idea is to make sure that the contracts are actually delivering the outcomes that they've contracted for, and also that there's good safeguarding mechanisms for children, given the abuse in state care recommendations as well. But I don't think we've handled that as well as we should have or could have, and so that is something I know now is, there's particularly with that organisation who's done some great work. It's before the courts, and I can't really comment on that too much. But I think you raise a fair point, and it's something that I've raised with the Minister in the course of this week as well, which is that we have, if I zoom out, there's some bigger problems, to be honest, which is that we do procurement or commissioning with a whole bunch of social service organisations across government. And my observation coming in from outside is that it's really difficult because, and having had family members working in this sort of sector, you end up raising money, trying to find a contract that the government will pay for. You might have a 1-year contract, 2-year contract, whatever. You spend 3-4 months trying to get the application together. Then you've got to go recruit the social worker. And then you don't know, you haven't got a longer term contract, so you end up actually going back again to restart again, not sure whether you can keep that person in a job or not. And the focus of the organisation is about having the contracting and the commissioning of these arrangements with the government rather than actually doing the work that you do so well, which is dealing with the pain, the hurt, the need, the frustration at the front lines. And we have to partner better with the community sector. Government can do so much, but the community sector can deliver outcomes in a much better way if we power them up. And so we have to do some work. And what we've done is we've formed what's called the Social Investment Agency. We've made it a central agency in May of this year, which means it's one of the ones that, like Treasury, that goes across the whole of government. And that is what I want us to do, so that we do it differently from how we have been doing.
There's a lot of replication too.
So much
the
replication.
Social services.
A contractor can have an oranga tamariki contract, which they might pay 80% of it, and then actually the other 20% comes from health or education. It's just so messy. And when you talk to the organisations, and I go out and meet with these social organisations typically every week, the process is just so painful because we've made it so complex and so hopelessly local and fragmented, and so inconsistent. People have contracts, contracts. I always believe if you're in a contract, you're in a contract, and you should sort of, you're there until you're not. And people carry on, getting funded without even having contracts in place, and that just causes huge uncertainty. And the real skill of the people in the community organisations is what they do ministering to the people and helping the people. So we do need to also, however, in the community organisations, we need big hearts, but we need hard heads. And that's why I've been saying, if we're going to give you lots of money, then I expect to get a return for that money. And so good examples would be the work that we did in mental health with I Am Friday, Gumboot Friday, I Am Hope. And the reason is that, every dollar we put in there, we knew we were getting, I think it was $4 or $6 back, in social benefit. That wasn't where people would then have to consume other services of government.
What about the Ram Raiders program that Labor began in response to the Ram Raids with the young people? That was the huge wraparound one.
Yeah, so
is that still being funded? Because that seemed to have success.
Yeah, so what so you're you're right as a caller sort of to raise the question around what are we doing and are we managing it well? And I don't think we are managing it well. That's why Andrew Costa and Nicola Willis, as Minister and CEO of that Social Investment Agency, their major focus will be on commissioning and procurement to get that straight as a process so that we can get the money flowing through much easier and have the process more simply. But I need those organisations to be able to talk about outcomes, not just activity.
So that one worked.
Yes.
And that's still being funded, do you know?
Yes. And so what we're doing is I've got these 9 better public service targets, and when you can get a lot of improvement with better management, as we have done on emergency housing and stuff like that. But when you think about kids that are not in school, family violence, when you think about housing insecurity, people with very complex challenge needs, it's a cohort that keeps coming back that has got multiple challenges across the system. And so we need a lot more innovation to deal and tackle with those problems than what we've actually had. And that's why we call this thing called social investment. So that is forcing us to say, righto, we need the agencies to be, like in Christchurch, we have all the agencies working together incredibly well to identify and work with those families and individuals that are showing across a range of metrics as being being vulnerable. And we need that replicated. So we have what we call these multi-agency table teams, and I meet with the in my strategy sessions I have every couple of weeks now. I've structured it quite differently. I meet with those CEOs to say, righto, we know Christchurch is working really well to get on top and to be engaged with these families and these individuals, because actually in New Zealand, with a population of 5.4 million people, we know these individuals, right? We knew when we came to government, we had 3,600 people in emergency hotel accommodation in New Zealand. It's costing us $1 million a week. It costs us probably about $2,000 for a motel room. You're telling me for $2,000 you can't get a better solution than putting someone in a motel and not.
And that's what you've worked on. Those numbers.
Yeah, and they've come down. They've come down like 75%.
The boot camps.
But even so, Kerry, then at the end of all of that, you still get to a cohort of people that show up and across a range of our measures. And the question is, what more innovation
That's known, though.
can
We've
we do?
known that for years.
Yeah, but what are we going to do differently than what we've done for the last 2 decades around it?
The boot camps. We were talking to one of the CEO of the Billy Graham Foundation, who's working with.
Yeah, they do some great work.
They
do amazing work.
But he said if it's extended, the boot camps, and I get where you say, well, we need to be able to spend more time with them and to help them with what they have. He said they'll become institutionalised. They need to be learning those skills out in the community once you've done the circuit breaker.
Yeah, correct. So where we got to on that is, and I spent 4 hours down there and I wanted to see it for myself. And so those 10 young men were our most problematic, persistent, toughest sort of offenders, right? They've ended up, there has been really good interventions there with really good people, but you're right, and he's right. And where we had is a pilot with 3 months residential, 9 months in the community.
It won't necessarily be longer for all of them, just for some who need it?
Under the new serious young offender legislation coming in next year, we could have an option where we could say, hey, listen, look, this individual's not quite ready to come out, and we might want them longer in residential. It might be want them longer in residential, and it might vary by individual.
Okay.
And then it's about the support in the community, exactly as you just said, because that's the challenging part.
That's where the hard work begins. Newstalk ZB, it is 17 to 10.
Discover timeless outdoor furniture that endures a lifetime. Visit Design Concepts to experience it firsthand. Sink into a sturdy, supportive lounger or unwind on a sumptuous sofa. Choose not just what looks best, but what feels most comfortable for you. Visit Design Concepts, Barry's Point Road, Takapuna.
Feel the world's most comfortable outdoor furniture at Design Concepts.
Help your lawn cope with the stress of summer with Greenkeeper's Choice. Think about Greenkeeper's Choice, a great range of products used by professional turf managers. To keep your lawn healthy and able to cope with the stress, try Greenkeeper's Choice Vitality, the superfood for lawns. Vitality's the safe, organic way to help grass stay healthier and able to handle the tough challenges of summer. Talk to Tony and his team at Newton Seed Mount Wellington. Benefit from their wealth of experience. Or go to newtonseed.co.nz.
TradeDepot.co.nz.
Trade Depot home appliances are built to last. Certified over 10 years of daily use. Huge side-by-side black steel fridge freezer, $749. 9kg top loader washing machine, $349. Comfy dishwasher, $299. Shop online or in store at Trade Depot, Nielsen Street, Onehunga. With minimum spends, you can get free home delivery anywhere in Auckland. T's and C's apply.
TradeDepot.co.nz.
Your weekend sorted with Canvas, a lifestyle magazine that checks the pulse of the arts and music, culture and performance, reveals the latest in technology, design and fashion, explores film and literature, offers a taste of the finer things in food and beverage. Whether you want thought-provoking, insightful, inspiring or simply absorbing, Canvas has your weekend sorted. In the Weekend Herald.
This Saturday morning, Jack Tame talks gardening with Ruud Kleinpast, thanks to Still Shop. Get free accessories on selected Still tools. Gardening every Saturday morning with Still Shop, only on Newstalk ZB.
Moving home? Don't do it alone. Need some space? We know a place. For every stage of life, Storage King has hassle-free storage solutions. Visit storageking.co.nz today. Storage King, the kings of storage, moving and more.
Talk back with Christopher Luxon on Kerre Woodham Mornings with pinnaclelife.co.nz. Easy online life insurance. Call 0800 80 1080. Newstalk ZB.
Right, well, we're under trainers' instructions to get through.
To go quicker.
Yeah, to go quicker.
Yep.
Chris, does the South Island matter to your government? New infrastructure doesn't seem like a priority, particularly for Canterbury.
I disagree. We've got 49 of the 100.
You've got the Ashburton Bridge finally being built.
Yeah, we've got 49 of the 149 projects under fast tracker in the South Island. We've got the Hope Bypass up in Nelson. We've got Pegasus in Auckland and Christchurch. We've got the Ashburton Bridge. We've got a transport package in Queenstown, transport package in Christchurch as well. So, yeah,
and the Dunedin Hospital.
And we're doing everything we can to get our farmers and the regulation and all that stuff out of the way. We've got a new hospital build or extension happening in Nelson, and we've got obviously a $1.9 billion investment in Dunedin. So, look, honestly, I'm from the South Island. I think of myself as from Christchurch and Canterbury, and I'm proud of what we're doing down there.
Okay, cool. Eric, you have a question for the Prime Minister.
Good morning, Mr. Luxon.
Hey, Eric.
My question's about the state of the Hauraki Gulf.
Yep.
4 elections ago, I was overseas and I got an email from my friend to say that National, if they get into power, we're going to do something about cleaning up the Hauraki Gulf.
Yep.
Well, I'm still waiting, and now they've brought in this new scheme that's going through at the moment where large areas are going to be excluded from recreational fishers, and yet, i.e. the Alderman Islands and Slipper Island off the east coast where I fish, and areas in the Hauraki Gulf are going to be excluded from recreational, and yet the commercial interests are still going to be allowed to fish in there. So firstly, when is National going to do something about it? Because I have no faith in Shane Jones doing anything about it. It's like having a fox in charge of a hen house. So can you please tell me when you're going to do something about it?
Yep, so we're doing something about it now. We've actually had the Hauraki Gulf Protection Bill coming through the Parliament, and in fact all parties have been there's good bipartisan support around it. Just in highlight terms, in the interest of being quick, we're going from 7% of the Gulf protected up to 18%. Yes, you're right, there is some very limited fishing, but it's with 5 fishers with boats less than 6 metres. It's only on 3 species for a certain part of the year. and it's actually, I think, only 18 tonnes of fishing taken out, where there's about 11,000 tonnes being taken out currently. So there is a bill going through that will become law, and that is from all parties have that support. I appreciate there'll be people with stakeholders in the Gulf as massive. There's all sorts of folk with interest in it, but I think we've found a really good way forward where you've got more of the Gulf being protected, which is what actually everyday Kiwis want, irrespective of their politics.
All right. Sean, good morning to you.
Oh, g'day. How are you going, Kerry?
Good.
You sound relieved to talk to Kerry, or tired or fatigued there, Sean, with that sigh.
You've been waiting a bit, haven't you?
No. Hey, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm a dairy farmer down in the South Island here.
Yep.
And we hear your rhetoric about wanting to increase or double the income from the primary sector.
Exports.
Frankly, what I've seen and heard from this government is there's a bit of window dressing around the side, but basically you've still got the handcuffs on us.
Oh, I disagree. I disagree, mate.
Can you please let me finish?
Yes, you go for it.
Right. We have a dairy industry right now that's doing the heavy lifting in this economy, and has done for probably the last 120 years. We are dropping 2% a year in cow numbers. So effectively in 50 years' time, we don't have a dairy industry. Now, that's fine. We live in a democracy, and if New Zealand doesn't want dairy farmers, I get it, And I'm, quite frankly, I'm old enough that I'm at the end of my career.
You're going to have to finish your question, Sean.
Right. So I've been down to our lovely people at ORC. I've heard you on Jamie Mackay's station talking about that it's not up to the government to decide whether dairy farmers can increase their businesses or not. It's up to local authorities. I've been to ORC. I've got land on my bottom boundary and my top boundary that I could cut the fence tomorrow and milk on. ORC say, no, you can't. We can only interpret the rules that the government have given us. So they're saying it's your fault. You're saying it's their fault.
Yep. So do you want me to answer it? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it. So, look, we do want to double the value of our exports. The bottom line is agriculture and farming is the backbone of this country. You should be deeply valued, not treated as villains. The last lot went to war with you. They had 23 regulations.
What about the ORC?
We've taken 21 regulations out. On the ORC, we were really unhappy with them because we're changing some things like freshwater management plans. We've got RMA reform coming, as you know, with fast track, but then next year we've got the permanent RMA reforms coming through. We said to ORC and to every regional council, we've got laws changed. Don't carry on with the old laws. They didn't, so we actually brought legislation in over the top, particularly for ORC, who didn't. We're making farmers go through a process that's going to be redundant. But you asked some good questions. We're not out there saying we want to see the herd size go down or anything like that. We actually want farmers to actually grow. We want to grow dairy.
So
we're going to do it through technology.
The ORC then?
Sorry?
What's going to happen with the ORC then?
Well, on the farm plans which they were running, we've actually put legislation because they didn't follow our guidance not to follow. We said, look, don't put farmers and council people through work that's going to get changed under new laws next year anyway. They didn't do that, so we put law over the top to say you now stop doing that work. But we've got RMA reform coming to actually liberate the system to make it much simpler. So if Sean goes down there
and says, I want to expand, ORC will now have to let him?
Well, no, that'll be dependent upon what his individual situation actually is. But what I'm saying is we've got macro reform of RMA, which is actually what the councils then have to respond to.
Okay.
And that law is all changing. As you've seen, we killed Parker's RMA before Christmas last year. We've got fast track coming in now. We've also got then in the middle of next year what we call RMA 3, our final solution for that, which will be much simpler, more rooted on property rights, all of that good stuff.
All right. Thank you very much. Newstalk ZB, it is 8 to 10.
At Bunnings, get all set for Christmas with the lowest prices.
Christmas definitely brings the family together.
Someone's always, manning the barbecue, keeping everyone healthy and fed while we're, playing backyard cricket.
Keep everything cool in an Esky 52-litre wheeled hard cooler, only $149. Get comfy in a marquee 3-piece corner lounge, $389. Or fire up the smoker with 9kg cherry barbecue pellets, just $34.98. When you find a competitive lower price on the same stock item, we'll beat it by 15%. Conditions apply. See website for details. Lowest prices are just the beginning.
At the best, but we love our brewers.
Our brewers aren't just number one in our hearts,
They're also taps 2 to 40.
That's why we're stoked to share the love by serving you fresh Kiwi beersies from over 200 taps across Auckland.
And because it's the season of spreading good cheers, our gift vouchers, t-shirts, hats and onesies make for great stocking stuffers.
For the friends and family with excellent taste.
Check out more details at thebeerspot.co.nz for food trucks and tap menus.
Or chuck us a cheeky follow on Instagram and Facebook, all under The Beer Spot.
Share the love, man.
Hi, Chris Pine from DentureTech. I head a fantastic team of clinicians and together we've helped thousands of Aucklanders get new dentures and would love to help you smile with confidence too. But don't just take my word for it. Here's another review from one of our happy patients.
I left DentureTech with a lovely smile on my face as I got exactly what I wanted. I can't thank the team enough and I wouldn't hesitate in recommending DentureTech to anyone.
To smile with confidence, call DentureTech on 0800 822 500 for your free consultation.
When it's time to recoat your roof, call the Coolfire guys. Why? Because when they recoat a roof, it's guaranteed with their Coolfire 12-year warranty. Although in reality, it'll be good for a lot longer than that. The right products, the right expertise and the right advice make Coolfire the right choice to recoat your roof. To find out if a recoat is right for your roof, visit coolfireroofs.co.nz.
Call the Coolfire guys. Call the Coolfire guys.
What's up, New Zealand? This is Vanilla Ice, a blast from the past here to prevent a blast in your future. I'm talking about millions of beers exploding in your freezers every year. So if you got that problem, I'll solve it with the Export Ultra Cold Callback Service. This summer, put your bottles in the freezer, text Ice Ice to 423, and 34 minutes later, I'll call you back. From my beer garden to yours, so you can say hello to an Ice Ice Cold Export Ultra. The beer for here. Well, there, as in New Zealand. You get it.
Newstalk ZB. Kerre, you sound angry with Luxon. I think he's doing a bloody good job, says Muzz. Muzz?
I can tell you, I'm in the
Exactly.
studio with her. I said to her at the beginning, you are happier this year than you were at this time last year. So
Exactly.
I appreciate your defence of me, but actually, in fairness, I think Kerry's been much kinder to me this year than she was last year. She was grumpy last year.
I was a bit grumpy.
Yeah.
And the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The year before, you were very grumpy.
To be fair, Christopher Hipkins wore the worst of that.
I thought I wore quite a lot.
No. If you compared notes, you'd still see some of his scars, the poor old thing. Anyway, that's us. I mean, it goes so quickly, doesn't it?
Well, I brought you a Christmas gift. Is that okay?
Awkward.
So, no.
Christmas etiquette.
I've got you a lovely card with Amanda and I on the front of it.
Oh, how lovely.
Yep.
That's
personalised
goals for
remarks
me.
inside. Yep. And then I've got you some Lindt chocolates.
Oh, because I need those, like a hole in the
And
end.
then because you've gone alcohol-free, I've got you Curious AF sparkling rosé and also the variety 4-pack. So you can carry on doing that.
That's what they serve on Air New Zealand, the
it's
AF
good.
rosé.
It's really good stuff.
It's really good stuff. Oh, that's so thoughtful.
And then because you were being on about Matt Heath not cleaning up the studio, and
that's for Matt.
Matt's done a good job coming out of what he's been doing,
Out of
Into what he's doing. Yeah, he's done a great job, but he's obviously got studio etiquette problems. So I've left you some Dettol clean wipes as well. So, but hey, listen, can I just say, I hope you have a great Christmas with your family. I know you hang out with your grandkids, and it's awesome. They've got such a cool grandma like you. And to all the listeners, I want to say, look, I know it's been a tough year for everyone. I hope people get a sense that the plan is starting to work and we're turning the corner. This is a country with great future. I think 12 months down the road, I feel more optimistic about what's possible. Yeah, I do. I honestly do. There's no reason why we can't build the best small advanced country on earth, period, if we all work together on doing that job. I feel very motivated about that and very excited about that. And then I just say to everybody, look, just refresh, recharge, reflect, get time with your loved ones, make some new memories, decompress and giddy up for next year, which will be another big year.
Will you be doing that? When are you signing off?
I'm going to go right up until Christmas Eve, and then I'll take a break between Christmas and just after New Year, and then I'll be back into it early mid-January, so it'll be good.
Crikey.
I'm ready to go. We want to keep going. We've got a lot to do and a lot to sort out. Yeah.
Wow, that's not much of a break.
No, but I'll be good. It'll be good, and I'll get 10 days with my family, and it'll be fantastic. It'll be great.
Oh, well, I'm glad. So thank you very much for your time this year, and I know the listeners appreciate you coming
it's
in
been great being with you.
being accessible to them. Now, this is your choice, Chris Stapleton and Dua Lipa.
Yeah, this was a great song. Chris Stapleton song of the year. I think I'm in love with you. And thank you, Helen, for playing my song rather than the Christmas music of Bublé.
Why are you pointing? Eh? Because Helen is the one who decides on the music. Helen is the arbiter of all things. Okay, Chris Stapleton, Dua Lipa, Merry Christmas, Prime Minister, and here's to a prosperous and happy new year for all of us.
All of us.
Yeah.
At Houseme, they've built more than 4,500 tiny homes. That's huge. Well, that's like a town the size of